Hey everybody, this is Cherokee Edwards from Cherokee Edwards Inspires, where we're going to have shows here to talk about life, to talk about what makes your life special, what makes it better, and everybody working together, because together everyone achieves more. Acronym for the word team. Stay tuned and let's get it on. Good evening, everyone. This is Cherokee Edwards coming to you live once again with the Cherokee Edwards Inspires podcast. And I have a special guest for you, and it is another friend of mine and a networking buddy who is amazing at insurances and business insurances. This is Mr. Robert Tassone with Port Financial Services. Hey, Bob, what's going on? How you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great, but I'm getting better.
All right, that's what I'm talking about. Already doing great and getting better. That means you found a little secret to this quarantine, didn't you?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I go through periods of joyfulness and then panic.
Yeah.
And it could happen like every half an hour. It changes.
Yeah. In other words, you're human. I tell you, I've been watching this thing, man. I don't know which way to go, left, right, indifferent. So I just stay still. Let God work it out.
That's right. It's hard to accept sometimes that things are out of your hands.
Yeah.
And I think that I've always liked driving my car more than flying in an airplane because I don't like the feeling of someone else is in control of what's happening.
Yeah. You know? Even though more people have crashes.
I'm in control when I'm in the car, even though I'm not really in control. You know, a Mack truck could run me over, but
right. But it just feels like you're in more control because you're the one steering the car.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I agree. Well, I want to get into this thing and jump right in. First of all, I have a strong respect and admiration for you. We've known each other for a while. I have a lot of our listeners at a massive disadvantage, but I wanted to give them a little insight on financial services and on the insurances. So what I want to do is let's tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and about how you got started with this company and this business.
Well, I opened my agency back in 1997, but I had been active as an insurance agent for about 12 years before that. So, I mean, like most things in life, a sequence of events creates something, and the sequence of events that started my company was that I moved from Suffolk, Virginia to Middlesex County, Virginia, because my wife at the time changed jobs that she was doing. And I had a friend that lived in Middlesex County. His name is Peter Olenek. And so he and I started an insurance agency, and that's where Port comes from. Peter Olenek, Robert Tassone spells Port. Mm-hmm. And I thought of that, and that's just the weird way that my brain works sometimes.
That's pretty cool, though. I think that's very creative.
But Peter is, and if Peter's listening, I love you, Pete. But he's about 11 or 12 years older than I am, so he's retired now, and so I'm all by myself. I don't have a business partner anymore.
Wow.
I'm the boss, and so anyway, so I basically do what I want.
Right. Bob, tell us a little bit about what inspired you to do this now?
Well, I think, to be honest with you, at the beginning, I was inspired by the desire to make money because I started young with my family, and I needed to make money. And so, and I was convinced that being an insurance salesman was a good way to do that, and it has been. But as I got into it, I think I understood the responsibility that I had in advising people about their insurance, and I think it's a very large responsibility. It's one of those things, if you talk to someone about buying a car, well, then you get in the car and you enjoy it like the very next minute. Mm-hmm. But you may not really find out how good a job I did for 20 years after I gave you the advice.
Right.
So it's a different dynamic, and that's why I have such a responsibility as an insurance agent, because I have to tell you advice, tell you things that may not apply to you ever, or may apply to you in a long time from now. But I have to try and do it right today for that person that you are 10 or 15 or 20 years later.
Right.
So that's the kind of immense responsibility that a good insurance agent has.
That's amazing. I mean, you don't think about that as a consumer of myself of insurances and things. You don't think about how much depth there is to what you guys do. So that's one thing. I'm glad that you're on here so we could shed some light on, you know, how your side of the table works. You know, what would you suggest if someone is looking? I mean, obviously I know you, but what would you suggest to someone looking for insurance? Let's say business. They're starting out a business and they're kind of nervous or unsure of how they should go about it. What would you advise them on?
Well, I think that anyone who is starting a business should establish, in essence, a board of directors for their business, and that means having a good attorney, having a good banker, having a good insurance agent, having a good investment advisor. I mean, all of these people are essential to the success of a business. And if you find people that you feel like you can trust, that are qualified, capable of giving you good advice, then you have the board of directors that you need, so that when the time comes that you really have a question, you can ask them and get good advice from them.
Right. Yeah, that sounds good. You and I and several others of our teammate, we formed a beautiful motivational team about a couple months ago, and we discussed with a lot of upcoming entrepreneurs and people that were trying to launch a business or get their business straight. Let's give the people a little insight on the type of insurances that you do and you provide.
Okay, well, first I'll start by saying that I am a multi-line independent insurance agent. So when you say multi-line, I'm licensed to write any type of insurance: life and health, annuities, property and casualty, liability, workers' comp, whatever.
Right.
I'm licensed, and I have a lot of experience in all of those areas of insurance. The only thing I can say is that the insurance policies that I have access to are no different from the insurance policies that any agent should have access to. And so I can't go about telling you that my policies are better than anyone else's. They're not.
Right.
It's really the advice that you get and the coordination of these coverages that's important. A good insurance agent will recognize gaps in your insurance plan, and what you don't know can hurt you. So it's a very good idea to have somebody who's qualified and can see, you ought to be thinking about this. Have you ever thought about that?
Right. Right.
That kind of advice.
Basically a direction, sounds like, right?
Yeah, I mean, a direction, but also somebody, I mean, the same way, an attorney will say, you need to read this, we need to put this into this contract. This is, what's not here is the problem. We need to add this, we need to add that. But it's the same thing. What you don't see can be the problem, what's not there.
Right, right.
And the problem is that most consumers, the average person, doesn't even conceive of that. In other words, they don't know that it even exists.
Right.
So
no, that's true, because you just don't think about that. And like you said, to visualize you in the same light as an attorney, where you would go over a contract and you would find those little quirks and things that people wouldn't normally look for, and probably be possibly destroyed by not seeing it.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And we have errors in emissions insurance. I have to carry that, but I've never used it. And but we can make an error, we can make an omission, and an omission is a bad problem because it's something that I should have told you to do that I didn't tell you to do.
Right.
So
right.
Anyway.
No, that's important. I think that a lot of people are afraid to start businesses because they don't know these things. They don't know the pitfalls, and they don't have the right people around them to give them this type of guidance. And that's one of the reasons I think you're so very important, on the landscape of business.
Yes.
So, okay, we got the business started. Tell me about the long-term goals you have, Bob. What are your long-term goals with the Port Financial?
Well, I'm of the age now that I take day by day.
Right.
I mean, it's not that I don't have long-term goals, but I've been active doing what I'm doing. That if I stop tomorrow, it'd be okay.
Right.
But enjoy what I do. I think that if you enjoy what you're doing, you'll never ever really work.
True.
And I don't consider what I do to be working. It's like right now, I'm having a conversation with you, but it's not really working.
No, I hope not.
And if someone sits down in my office, or if I go to visit someone, I'll have the same type of conversation, and I just talk to them and find out what it is that they're doing and what they're interested in doing, but it's not really like working. So
right.
I can see myself doing this for a long time, but I think the older that I get, the more selective I am. In other words, sometimes someone will call me on the phone or whatever and ask me about something, and I'll question them a little bit, and then I'll just refer them to someone else because I don't really want to get into that kind of thing.
Right. Well, you're in a great position to where you not only are you extremely honest, but you're also, like you said, selective in the fact that you're going to direct them somewhere else if it's not something that feels good to you. And I there's something great to be said about that.
Well, thank you. I've been there where I've had an agency with employees, and I've had 3,000 square foot offices and all of that kind of thing. I don't have that anymore. I've downsized, but I try to concentrate on doing the things that I like to do.
Right.
And so that's how I keep myself happy. And my ultimate goal is to be happy. And
that's a great goal. I think that's a great short-term, mid-term, and long-term goal. We're going to pause for a station identification break, word from our sponsors, and we will be right back with Mr. Bob Tassone, Port Financial Services.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Okay, now, well, we're back with Bob Tassone of Port Financial Services. And Bob, I know you, so I know that you have your hands in a lot of things. You're helping a lot of people in the community. Let's talk about some of these things that you do. You're involved in so many different ventures out here.
Well, currently I am the president of the Historic Triangle Rotary Club. I've been active in the Rotary International since 1994, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been more than 25 years, and I've been a club president 3 times. So this is the 3rd time, probably the last time. I don't know. Maybe somebody will talk me into it again. I do it once again because I enjoy it. I enjoy leading club meetings, and I enjoy leading board meetings, and I get satisfaction out of leading things.
Right.
So that's why when someone asks me, "Will you do this?" I usually say, "Yeah, I guess I'll do it."
Right.
But over the years, I've been a volunteer EMT on the rescue squad. I did that for about a dozen years.
Right.
And I've been active. I used to advise business startups, something called the Middle Peninsula Business Development Partnership, which was a nonprofit that helped businesses get started and help them find funding and advise them about business plans and things like that. So, once again, I just got satisfaction out of helping businesses. I'm very into small business economic development.
Right. And that's what makes you so important and vital, especially in today's age. A lot of people want to hurry up and get things to where it's at the final stage, at the beginning stage. And, the millennials, a lot of millennials that are starting businesses and a lot of people that are just starting, they want to be at the finish line, at the starting line. So I think that you're extremely vital in your wisdom and knowledge. And like you say, you've always been one of those people that will step right up and help people. And I think there's something to be said about your mindset. So as you say that this makes you happy to indulge and get involved, what would you say brings you the most satisfaction when helping someone, less fortunate in business?
I guess I get satisfaction of just out of pointing out certain things to them,
right,
making them aware of things, but also telling them that this is something that you've got to solve. This is your problem that needs to be solved.
Right.
And nobody is really ultimately going to do it for you.
Right.
And you're never really going to get anywhere if you think other people are going to do things for you anyway.
Right.
And so the reality is, this has got to be more important to you than it is to me.
Exactly.
For this to work, I can give you advice, I can point things out to you, but until you really adopt it and say, this is my problem and I'm going to solve it, I'm going to do the things that need to be done to solve it, I'm going to do the things that need to be done for my business, then we're not going to get anywhere. You've got to buy it. You've got to buy your own problems and own them.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. Matter of fact, that's a perfect segue into another question that I would have for you is, what would you think? What would you say is the most valuable lesson that you learned throughout your journey in business?
Well, I think it's very important to position yourself where success can happen, and part of that positioning is the friends that you choose to be with and the advisors that you choose to listen to. Mm-hmm. I position myself where you're somebody that I became acquainted with,
right?
And I think that it's a perfect example of the fact that you and I have a relationship that is something that is beneficial to me, because you're a smart guy, you know a lot about a lot of different things, and I benefit from that, and I hope that you benefit from my presence sometimes. But positioning is something where you've got to put yourself in a space where good things can happen, and you've got to be open to it. You've got to kind of be like a funnel where your things can come in and come to you.
I agree.
So anyway, that's one advice that I would give people, is just to be open, respect other people, find good people to be around.
Yeah, that's a big one. I think that a lot of the times when I'm doing motivational speaking, I find myself telling these youngsters and young people, and even older seasoned people, be careful who you associate with, because that's generally what people are going to associate you with,
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So
that's right. That's true as a child, and it's true in high school and in college, and it carries right into adult life.
Yes, sir.
You're not going to fly with the eagles if you hang around with the
chickens.
turkeys, right?
That's right. That is exactly right. That's exactly right. Great point. Great point. So, Bob, I know you're super intelligent. You're a big reader. Would you advise any books, or would you recommend any books to read for upcoming entrepreneurs and people in business?
Well, I said anytime that I get to listen to Zig,
Yeah.
I love him.
Yes.
And anything that I've read by him, I love. I read a book a long time ago, which was, as a salesperson, there's a book called The Psychology of Maximum Sales Performance.
Mm-hmm.
And the psychology, it's not so much about the psychology of me manipulating you. It's more about the psychology of me keeping my own head in order and
Right.
controlling my own emotions and my own fears and so forth. And I think that the worst thing that a salesman can have is fear.
Yes, indeed.
And so anyway, that's a couple of things, but I don't know.
Now, I know you're a movie guy too. Let's talk about your favorite movie.
Well, my favorite movie is a movie called Sliding Doors, and it came out probably, I don't know, 2007 or I can't remember when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably 10 or 12 years old. It's got Gwyneth Paltrow in it.
Oh yeah.
The idea behind the movie is that Ms. Paltrow plays a character in the movie where she has a boyfriend, and she's with her boyfriend, and then she goes to work. Okay, mm-hmm. So she leaves her boyfriend at home. She goes to work, and there's a big meeting, and she's laid off from her job. And so she leaves work, and she goes home. And in the movie, she's going down into the subway, and this little kid comes out in front of her, and she has to stop. She kind of to not trip over this little kid, and she misses the subway. The sliding doors in the subway close. Well, at that point in the movie, the screen splits, where the little kid is not there, and she just makes it past the sliding doors. And then on the other screen, she just misses the sliding doors. So in one instance, she's on the subway train. In the other instance, she's standing, waiting for the next subway. And what that causes is her to get home earlier in one sense and later in the other sense. And what the movie shows is how her life evolves totally differently because of the difference of 20 minutes getting home. In one case, she finds her boyfriend with another woman. Mm-hmm. In the other case, by the time she gets home, the other woman has left, and she's not aware that her boyfriend was cheating on her. And so two totally different evolutions of her life that are changed because she either made the subway train or she missed it. And that happens to us in life every day.
Yes, it does.
There's little things little tweaks, little things that happen to us that define our life. And I think it's just a very interesting movie.
I think I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna check it out. You got me interested in it. You got me interested in it. Huh?
Yes. Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Well, Bob, tell our audience, how can they reach you? We have a pretty wide range of families, and I want them to know how they can reach you, but I also want to know where you focus your attention in your business.
Well, I try to focus my attention with business owners. We do insurance. We also advise business owners on some things that are not related to insurance, like specialized tax incentives and expense reduction audits and things of that nature. So we have some other services that we offer to business owners that are not necessarily insurance products. But if I had my way, I would be dealing with with a business owner, talking to him about his insurance, about his employee benefits, and about other things that can make his business more profitable. That's what I want to do.
Right.
But I'm interested in speaking with anyone that wants comprehensive advice on their insurance plan.
Right.
I'm not a financial planner. I specialize in the insurance side of it.
Right.
And so anyone who, I don't like to talk to people just about their automobile insurance or something like that. I'd much rather take into context everything that they're doing. I'm not necessarily going to change everything that they're doing, but I want to know about it. And I want to say, this is one little thing that you could do with this policy without changing it, without replacing it.
Right.
So anyway, that's the way that I go about doing business.
Awesome.
As far as contacting me, I've had the same cell phone number for probably 25 years. And so it's out there. Everybody's got it. So I don't mind saying what my cell number is at 757-870-3521. And my website is www.port-insurance.com.
Okay.
And so my email is bob@port-insurance.com. And I'm happy to talk to anyone. One of the things I believe in business is you have to return phone calls. And I try to return them promptly. Anytime a client or anyone else calls me that, sincerely wants to talk to me.
Right. What are your business hours, Bob?
Well, my business hours are not what they used to be.
Yeah, we got a little change in the quark.
But generally, I like to work Monday through Friday. I will work an evening on appointment at request, but generally during the day, Monday through Friday. I rarely work on the weekends, but once again, if someone has a special need for me to see them on a weekend, I can do that. But it's unusual that I would do that. But most of the time, it's Monday through Friday. I have a business client that's a nursing home, for example, and they have an 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift. Mm-hmm. And so I'm there at 11 p.m. But that's not the norm.
Right. You don't want everybody keeping you up to taking red lights, the red eye. Okay, well, that's about our time. Bob, would you like to leave anybody with any lasting notes on anything that you feel like they need to hear?
Well, the only thing that I will say is that life is a journey. Roll down your window, turn on some music, and enjoy the ride.
I love it. I love it. Man, I tell you.
Thanks, Cherokee. It's nice spending time with you.
Hey, buddy. Good luck. God bless. And I love you to pieces, man. You're my guy. Okay. So just know that. Alrighty. Thanks for coming on board, buddy.
Take good care.
All right. Have a great night. All right.
Good night.
Good night.